Let's take a look at what makes a major chord major. If we look at the one chord in the major key, the one triad, with the root and the third and the fifth, you'll notice that the root and the third are a third apart, 1, 2, 3. You notice that the root and the fifth are a fifth apart, that's why it's called the fifth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But you'll notice that the third and the fifth are a third apart. So that's the interval of the fifth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's an interval of a third. If you look at a major chord, it's really a third, the interval of a third, on top of an interval of a third. But if you look close, you'll notice something. Between this interval of a third, there are 3 notes, 1, 2, 3. But between this interval of a third, there are 2 notes, 1, 2. So why is this a third? And why is that a third when there are 2 notes and 3 notes? Well, this is called a major third because it's farther apart. There are 3 notes between it. So any interval that has 3 notes between it is a major third. And eventually you'll just learn these by memory. You won't have to sit and figure them out. I'm going to show you ways to memorize stuff so that you'll just know an F to an A is a major third. You won't have to look to see if there are 3 notes apart. Eventually you just learn that F to A is a major third. You just learn it. It's like learning 2 times 2 is 4. So we have a major third because those are 3 notes apart. On the fifth note of the scale, or the fifth chord, the root and the third are 3 notes apart. That's a major third. So the reason we call a major chord, the 1, the 4, and the 5 chords in a major key are the 3 major chords, because the first interval of a third has 3 notes between it, which we call an interval of a major third. Why do we call a minor chord a minor chord? Well, let's look at the other chords in a major key. We said the 1, 4, and 5 are the 3 major chords. Well, the 2 chord is minor. And it sounds sad if we stay strictly in the key of C, playing all the white keys, no sharps or flats. We see that D is a minor. Why do we call D a minor? Well, if you look between the first and third note, the interval of a third, between the root and the third, there's only 2 notes. So we call this chord a minor third because the distance between the root and the third, there's only 2 notes between it. So this is a major third because there are 3 notes between it, and it's a third, 1, 2, 3. And this is a minor third because there are 2 notes between it, but it's still a third, 1, 2, 3. So if you're good with math, or maybe you've had music before, then you would understand that changing a major third to a minor third, or vice versa, is really simple, because a major third has 3 notes between it. All you have to do is lower the third, and then you have a minor, because now there are 2 notes between it. So to take any major third of an interval of a major third and make it minor, you lower the third. That's a major third because there are 3 notes between it. But what did we say a minor third is? 2 notes between it. So if we take this third and drop it down a half step, it becomes a minor third. So the way that we change a major chord to a minor chord is we take the first interval of root to third, which is major, and we lower the third and make it a minor. So that's true with any major chord. We look at the 4 chord, and the distance between the root and the third is a major third because there are 3 notes between. But if we lower the third by a half step, then we have a minor third. It's still a third apart, 1, 2, 3, but there are 2 notes between. So really, in music theory, the only 2 notes of a triad that really matter are the first and third. The fifth one is optional. Remember in the last class how we talked about how a perfect interval is plain? It doesn't make a chord either major or minor. It's a perfect interval. So the root and the third of the chord really define the quality or tonality, whether it's major or minor. We consider the fifth note of a chord optional because it's kind of a plain note. It adds to it a little bit harmonically, but this is a C chord. If it behaves like a C chord, this is a C chord, and that's a C chord, C minor chord, regardless of the fifth. That's still a C major, and that's still a C minor chord. So what makes our major chords major is the interval between the root and the third of the chord. The fifth is an optional note, is a major third. There's 3 notes apart. And to make a major triad minor, remember, we take the third and lower it. So now it's a minor third. There are 2 notes apart. So to take a major triad and make it minor, you lower the third by half a step. So here's our 1 chord, which is major in the key. And if we lower the third, it becomes minor, because now that's a minor third, 2 steps. And then the 4 chord is major. And if we lower the third, it becomes minor, because we changed this third from a major third to a minor third.